song. I forgot. Hey, fellow plant enthusiasts. I'm Steven from Steve's Propagation Corner, and this week I have a little bit of a cold, so I will not be recording a new video.
I'm sick. Boo, you whore.
But I still have part 2 of my repot session. If you haven't watched part 1, you can check it out up here. If not, enjoy this video and you can go check it out after you're done. Yeah, so enjoy. Miss Snake Plant, if you will excuse us, we got other business to tend to. Let's put her out the way for a minute. And now we can get onto our next step, which is actually 2 steps. We're going to pot up this pup here from the snake plant. And also, we're going to be cutting up these propagation cuttings that I have here. They've been in water for a little over 2 weeks now, and they already have, of course, a lot of roots coming in, so you can tell they're quite eager to dig their roots into some soil. So today we're going to go ahead and give them a new home. We'll go ahead and do that. We got actually 2, so we got a whole plant here. So first, pot this one up. So I want to use a tiny pot for it. Just put it in there. Some soil in here. Alright, so we have our soil. I use these to avoid making more of a mess, because I already have made quite a mess tonight. Alright, let's catch up real quick. Now that I'm done stressing, I can actually relax and talk to you guys. Now what I want to talk to you about is I'm thinking of starting a Patreon. What do you guys think about that? I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Do it!
Something I've been thinking about lately, starting a Patreon, and I was just wondering if you guys would be interested in being some kind of producers or something for the channel. Look at that. That's really cute. I want to see if that actually takes, so I'm interested. Anyway, so if you want to support the channel and you want to be featured in the credits for each video as one of the producers, if that's something that interests you, you can go ahead and check out my Patreon that I probably will have set up by the time this video is up. I don't have it set up yet. This is me foreseeing the future, and also kind of get your thoughts on what you guys think. Anyway, look at that. That's pretty cute, isn't it? I love it. Yay! We'll see if that takes. Do you guys think it'll work? I'm not sure. I've never really propagated such a small pup, but I can't help myself. It propagated itself, basically literally jumped out at me. Maybe it was asking to be propagated. Anyway, put that up here. Let's get to the main bonus part, I guess. I feel like this 8-inch pot should be big enough for them. Plenty of space. I'm gonna be making a new home for it. Alright, so you just fill it up about halfway and start putting in the cuttings. Now, this is actually interesting. This started out as a propagation fail. It was actually one big long vine of pothos from one of my neighbor's plant. His pothos started to get a bit leggy. So he asked me, what can you do about a leggy pothos? And I suggested, well, you can cut off the leggy portions, and propagate the portions that have some kind of green on them. So he asked me to do it for him. He's like, well, could you just do it for me? So I took a very big vine that had a lot of all these... So I took a big vine that had all these individual leaves and put it in my fish tank to propagate it. But unfortunately, it was not propagating. I moved it from... I first put it in a glass of water. You know, I put the vine in there, dipped in a few notes, and see if it will start growing roots. But it was not really doing anything. Actually, some of the leaves died, and it was starting to kind of look really bad. So as an emergency measure, I put it in my fish tank, because usually pothos will really thrive when I put them in my fish tank. They love the ammonia and nitrogen and all the nutrients they get from the fish tank water. I put it in there hoping it would save the vine. Unfortunately, the whole vine was not It just did not want to grow. Even though it had multiple leaves, it was not working. It was not propagating. It was kept on dying, and I lost like three more leaves. And I'm like, what the heck? My neighbor, my friend, is going to be upset that I took such a long vine. It was quite a big vine from his mother plant, and I promised that, oh yeah, I'll get back to you when I have it ready, and I was not gonna be able to get back to him because it was dying. So I felt horrible. I'm like, oh my god, how the propagation guy can propagate a pothos. It was ridiculous.
You suck!
But anyway, oh my god, look at all that new growth. They all of them, every single one so far that I've put in here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but they all have like those tiny new sprouts, which I'm loving. Like they're just so. I love propagating pothos. It's like the easiest plant to propagate. But anyway, going back to my story, not so easy to propagate a whole vine. So what I did was, when it wasn't propagating successfully and it was starting to die, I was freaking out because I'm like, he is gonna be upset. And I'm gonna be disappointed in myself. And, I promised, like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he's gonna be like, oh my god, you mutilated my plant and you didn't even give me any results. So I was feeling pretty bad. So I was thinking, what do I do? What I did was I cut them all up, like you can see, into small individual cuttings, which is one leaf, nodes, and leaf. Nodes and leaf. That's what he did. Nodes and leaf. You see? Just nodes and leaf. So I guess what I'm trying to get at and what I'm trying to say is, don't propagate a whole vine if you want to propagate your pothos plants. Smaller cuttings will definitely propagate faster. You'll have a higher success rate with propagating smaller cuttings with much as just one leaf on them, as opposed to one big long vine with multiple leaves on them. Even if you have multiple nodes and aerial roots, it still will propagate better if you do smaller cuttings. Anyway, I am rambling. That is what I was trying to get at. That's all you need, really, to propagate. And now that they all have new growth and a bunch of new roots, all I have to do now is just put them up, and you basically have a brand new plant just from cuttings. So that's pretty cool. Now, my neighbor wanted me to do originally was root that big vine and just put it back into the mother plant, but unfortunately that didn't work out. So I am just going to, instead of propagating that big vine and putting it back into the mother plant to make it look fuller and have more foliage, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally give him a new plant, a whole new baby pothos that I was able to propagate. So he's a teacher, so he'll probably bring it to his classroom. That will be pretty cool if you did that. But yeah, I guess the moral of the story is pothos are really easy to propagate as long as you do it right. And I was being a little bit too ambitious with wanting to propagate that huge cutting. Now, just put the cuttings in a little bit, dip them in the soil so they don't fall out. And quite a bit though. Put them all up together now, and what you'll get is one very bushy and full pothos plant. You might think, oh, that's too crowded. It's way too crowded. No, it's not. It's fine. Pothos are fine if they're crowded. That's how big growers get those big bushy pothos. To just put up a bunch of cuttings together. And one last one. I have this last one that was actually in my fish tank, and look at that. Grew a lot of roots. Alright, so that's what it looks like right now. Now we just top it off with some fresh soil. What's been your experience with Pothos? Tell me in the comments below. Like, have you ever had a similar issue with a Pothos propagation? Have you even had any issues propagating Pothos? I mean, I know they're so easy to propagate, basically propagate themselves. Sometimes you never know what's gonna work until you try it, right? Something that might seem conductive to propagation, plants that seem like they might be conductive to propagation, and Pothos is definitely one that propagation just seems so intuitive because they literally push out a bunch of aerial roots, and it's not very much of an experimenting kind of thing because you're not really experimenting with Pothos because it's pretty straightforward, I guess. But yeah, like I was working on that video recently. If you guys haven't checked out that video, you should go and check it out. It's pretty interesting right here. Stuff like propagating in honey, propagating plants in potatoes, air layering, all these techniques are so interesting. I always wonder like how do they come up with these things? And it's mostly just trial and error. You try something and then if it works, then it's great. And if it doesn't work, then it's back to the drawing board, right? My favorite part about propagating is the fact that you never know what you're going to get. It's always a really pleasant surprise when you get a propagation to be successful. And sometimes the ones you think are just bound to fail really surprise you. And that was the situation with this propagation. I thought this vine that I was going to propagate for my friend was going to die on me. It literally struggled for about 2 weeks before I finally figured out what I needed to do. And that was basically chop it up into smaller cuttings, propagate those, and after I'm done, I do this. Make a whole new plant just from cuttings. I love propagation. And I love plants. They are just like magic. It's crazy how plants work, how resilient plants are. I am always amazed by those kind of things. But anyway, I should get to it because it's pretty late and I'm pretty tired. So kind of want to get to bed eventually at some point today. So got another video I got to finish editing. So a lot coming down the pipeline, guys. A lot of work coming, but that's really good. All right, there we go. We have a brand new Pothos plant just from cuttings. I love it. Now, final step, as usual, some watering, and we'll be done.
A few minutes later.
It's better to make sure we water it well because they've been in water for a while, and they're gonna like that soil to be a bit on the moist side. So keep it moist. I hate when it like spills all over it. I really hate that. Water it well. Alright. There we go. Water it well. And there we have a new Pothos. And now we just let it drain.